Happy July, Hubbardston, and welcome to Hubbardston Headlines. This is, I believe, the 5th or 6th episode, and I'm really happy with the outcome so far. So if you watch this today and have an idea for a future episode, feel free to reach out to my office and let me know what you think we should do. I'd love to have Hubbardston Headlines be something other than a introductory program to the different people that are coming to work in our community, but there has been a good amount of turnover in the past year or so, so it is my pleasure to introduce the new faces in our community to you. The face I am introducing today is going to be a familiar one to those that watched the town meeting review last month. This is Town Clerk Candace Livingston. She comes to us from Rutland, Mass., where she was the Assistant Town Clerk. I'll let her tell you a little bit more about her background before. I know what you guys are saying. Nate, you introduced us to a town clerk 2 months ago. Unfortunately, one thing or another happened, and because of personal issues, the former town clerk, Kristen Foster, was not able to continue working with the town as our town clerk. We thank her for her time with the town of Hubbardston and wish her the very best. She's still a friend of the town and she still stops by to say hi on occasion, but we are very happy to have Candace with us here today. With that, we will hop right into the questions. So Candace, welcome. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, your past roles, your interests?
Sure. So a little bit about myself. I actually grew up in Sterling, Mass., so a couple of towns over, and then I moved to Rutland, Mass. As an adult. Before coming on as town clerk here in Hubbardston, I was the assistant town clerk over in Rutland for about a year and a half, and prior to that, I was actually the administrative assessor for a couple of years. Before all of this, my municipal journey, I was actually a early education teacher, so I was a teacher in a private nursery school in Sterling, and that was for about several years. So technically this is kind of like my second career.
As town clerk, you still have the opportunity to be a teacher.
Oh yeah.
And that's great. Having kids and just people in general learning about civic engagement is a huge part of your job, and that's a teacher in itself. So yep. Town clerks can be teachers and teachers can be town clerks. Yeah. So look at that. What are some of the most important responsibilities and duties of the town clerk's office that residents might not be aware of?
I honestly believe that a lot of the residents don't actually know the whole scope of the work that happens in the town clerk's office, because you might see me on familiar days like elections or town meetings, but there's so much more to the job than that. In the town clerk's office, we handle all vital records, so all births, deaths, and marriages, and that's not just previous vital records, it's all the new ones. So any newborn baby I get a record of, I have to pull in from our state system. Any new death, I pull in from the state system, and I do marriage licenses as they come in. I also do, business certificates, dog licenses, and the annual street list. That street list actually comes from our yearly mailing of the census, which goes out in every January. And that street list contains residents 17 and older. My office administers the oath of office, open meeting laws and guide, as well as conflict of interest training and ethics training. And I'm also the lead access officer for public records.
Fun.
Yeah.
No,
Lots to it.
It's a super important role, and public access and transparency is a huge goal of mine. So I was happy to see Candace come in with some experience and willingness to promote transparency and public opportunity. All right. Could you explain the process and requirements for voter registration and how the town clerk's office facilitates fair and efficient elections?
Sure. So voter registration, we need 3 things in order to register to vote. You need to be a U.S. citizen, you need to be a Hubbardston resident for me to register you to vote, and you need to be at least 18 years or older on or before the next election. You can either fill out a paper form in my office, you can fill out a paper form online. I have a direct link on the town clerk's page under voter registration. and then you can actually mail that in, or you can actually go online. I also have a link for that on the town clerk's page under voter registration, and you can go in and either check your status or register to vote. All paper applications, whether mailed in or in office, are done the business day I receive it, and then the online voter registrations are usually the next business day with respect to Fridays, because I'm not in the office on Fridays. And so we pretty much do those on a daily basis as they come in. And that's about it for the voter registrations. For elections, myself and all election workers have to remain unbiased, and I make sure that everybody in the polling place is following all the rules. I've only conducted one election so far here in Hubbardston, and I will say I couldn't be more thankful for the team that has already been established prior to my arrival here. My election workers are very well versed in elections, the rules, what's expected, what's not expected, and it was really refreshing to join their team. I'm very happy to have all of them.
All right. Outside of agreeing to be on my cable access program 2 months in a row, what ways does the town clerk's office embrace technology and digital solutions to enhance the efficiency and effectiveness of its operations? What benefits does this bring to the community? Any ideas for the future?
Okay, so in regards to technology, I'm trying to update not only my town clerk page on the website when time permits, but I'm also taking a look at all board and committee pages, some department pages, to see where there is outdated information, where we could update it. And I'm keeping a running tally, and my summer project will be to attempt to help whoever needs help updating everything on the website. I want to make sure that everything is current to the time, because that allows people to really depend on that website for answers. And I think that definitely helps with transparency, to know about what's going on in all aspects of this municipality. Something I would like to try to do is to get everyone, employees, town officials, and residents, is to utilize the website more. There is a lot of great information on there. And in order to do that, we will need to make sure everything's updated. So that is my goal, to make sure everything is ready for the public to see.
All right. How does the town clerk's office handle and process public records requests, ensuring both transparency and privacy?
So public records requests typically come in through email, which is the easiest way to accept them. However, I can accept them through the phone, in person, on a letter, a handwritten letter, and all privacy is maintained. If you wish it to be private, you would have to submit a different name with your request. I will never ask you who you are requesting it, but I will need contact information to reach you. All public records requests get logged in to my system, and that's where I keep track of my response date. I have 10 days to respond to you, or if I delegate another department like Board of Health or Police, they also have that 10 days to respond to you. Sometimes an extension may be needed, and typically individuals are okay with this because they just want the most accurate information that I can get them, and sometimes the 10 days isn't enough for me to get that. Sometimes public records requests actually have a cost associated with them if it's extensive work. So sometimes you will see me respond saying, hey, I have to get a good faith estimate to you. But when I get you that estimate and we get payment, I can go ahead and move forward with the work, and then it will give you a new date. A lot of the records requests that I've been getting are already information that is out for public view, which kind of ties in with our technology. Sometimes I just let them know that there's a database like Laserfiche or the Worcester Registry of Deeds that is all accessible online, and I point you in the direction into finding the information too. So that pretty much covers the public records requests. In terms of the privacy, I do have to log my public records request, which is a public document. However, like I said, if you request a public record in a different name, that's the name I log it as. So there is privacy maintained that way.
Wonderful. And just to let people know at home, there are parameters to what us as a municipality can charge somebody to receive and put together that information. It's not always the cheapest, but it does cap at, I believe, $25 an hour, or the lowest paid employee capable of doing the job. So there are some safety precautions in place to stop municipalities from just charging whatever they want, to stop people from asking questions. All right, now back to our questions. Candace, how does the town clerk's office collaborate with other departments and officials within the town to ensure smooth operations and effective municipal governance?
I feel as though communication's really big here. It's essential for good collaborations where you get a lot of input and ideas. As some of you know, there's been a lot of turnover here in town. With a lot of new faces, there comes a lot of new ways of doing things. So communication has been super important to ensure that everybody understands what is expected and what we need from each other in order to make things work. If we have questions or something, it's really nice to kind of push that out to everybody. So we don't just communicate with everybody in terms of what we need to do. It's kind of sometimes what should we be doing. So we always like to communicate, and I think that definitely helps.
And I agree. A good government is a well-oiled machine. This is a topic I would really like to cover on one of these shows one day, just kind of municipal government 101, like the ways in which after taxes are put in this sort of the gasoline for the engine, the way it goes around the different departments and the different services, and how your tax dollars are spent effectively and who makes major decisions. That's something I'm looking to do. It would be more for maybe a younger audience or someone that would like a brush up. In the past in other municipalities, I did a governance 101 where the police chief and the town clerk and the town administrator or mayor or whomever would come and talk. I think that's really important to getting a volunteer base that is educated and understands what they are getting involved with. Speaking of what we are getting involved with, what can residents expect in terms of elections and town meetings for the next year?
So for the next year, well, let's start with this fall. It's going to be very busy this fall. Not only do we have a special town meeting to come, we also have 2 special elections. We have, the special state primary on October 10th, and the office on the ballot is the state senator. Our voter registration deadline for that is September 30th, 2023, and your vote by mail application deadline is October 2nd, 2023. We also have a special state election on November 7th. Again, the office on the ballot is state senate. The voter registration deadline is October 28th for that election, and the vote by mail application deadline is October 31st. In 2024, we have our primaries up on March 5th.
All right, beautiful. That's you're gonna have a very busy first year.
Yeah.
And
it'll be interesting.
And it'll be annual town election and annual town meeting before we know it. So in addition to your duties as town clerk, you are also incredibly newly the assessing clerk. Can you tell us about that? Do you have any experience in that field?
I have a couple years experience as the administrative assessor in Rutland. And for those of you who may not know, Rutland's just a little bit down the road on 68, and we used to use the same company, RRG, that Hubbardston uses. So I was already trained by this company, and I have a good background and understanding of how that world works. So I am here for any questions about motor vehicle abatements, real estate tax bills in terms of assessments, and any questions on chapter land or, how to change the name on your deed, anything like that.
Awesome. With that said, let's all remember that physically the office of the assessor has now moved over to the office of the town clerk so that Candace doesn't have to run across the parking lot all the time. Candace, thank you so much. I just wanted to take a quick moment to update everyone on some things that are going on in town. Mostly things that are relevant to the town clerk. Recently, we released our Laserfiche Cloud public record system. It is a way that residents from home can log on to our website. Right there, it says Public Information Portal. Click it, and you can look for things like building licenses, assessing records, tax information, and we will be growing upon that in years to come and offering different a different variety of documents and a different experience as things go. It is a project that was started by my predecessor in an effort to be as transparent and effective as possible, especially during the COVID-19 pandemic and the time shortly after. It was really challenging to get into an office, even for the staff. So having a system like this in place will allow residents and people that work for the municipality to get public records from home. Check it out. It's on our website. The second thing I wanted to remind people about is to get involved. Next, on Monday, July 17th, Thursday is the 20th. On Monday, July 17th, I will be holding a special hybrid office hours where I am going to be answering questions about ways to get involved. A lot of times people say, oh, I would get involved, but maybe I don't know how to do this, or I don't want to make that mistake. This will be the perfect opportunity to come on in or log on and discuss what maybe your interest would be if you had a couple of answers, or discuss what's keeping you from getting involved in your town. And I promise it will be between us and whoever's there only. The session is not going to be recorded. So if you have the time next Monday, well, July 17th at 4 o'clock, the office of the town clerk and my office are also open during all open business hours. Feel free to stop on by and talk to us about any questions you may have about how to get involved and anything else. So Candace, our Hubbardston town clerk, thank you very much for joining us today, and I look forward to working with you in the future.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you, everybody.